News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Logan Extermination. Lola is one of the sheltered animals at the Cache Humane Society, and during KVNU's For the People program on Tuesday, Lola provided paw prints, which are part of a big current fundraiser for the shelter. Stacy Frisk, executive director for Cache Humane Society, returned to the program, and told us about Lola, who is available for adoption.
Lola is about 2 years old. She's a shepherd mix.
She's beautiful.
65 pounds of snuggles and fluff.
From now until May 12th, special Mother's Day cards are available with colored ink paw prints made by shelter dogs like Lola, who produced prints for a card while on the show.
So she's here to show you the process in action. We have these big, colorful, pet-safe ink pads that she'll dip her paws in, and then those will go onto some canvas to turn into some nice Mother's Day themed artwork. And for anyone,
very cool.
For anyone who goes to our website, there's a simple form to fill out with a personalized message and your mom's mailing address, and she will get a custom piece of art made by a shelter pet this year.
Cache Humane Society is a nonprofit no-kill shelter that depends on community support through grants, and more to stay in operation. Frisk was asked what makes the organization unique.
So she's here to show you I think Cache Humane in our culture is really an extension of what we have here in Cache Valley, which is a wonderful community with an agricultural heritage, a love of animals, a love of the outdoors, a desire to support each other here in our community. And we're just grateful to be a part of that culture and to reflect that culture at our organization.
Cache Humane Society has a new building with expanded space, and they've been helping animals in Cache Valley for almost 50 years. They were established in 1976 by local animal lovers who fostered animals in their own homes. You can get more information on their fundraiser and the organization at cachehumane.org. KVNU News Time is 4:05. KVNU weather tonight, partly cloudy skies, low around 30, and then mostly sunny into the low 50s on Thursday. 30% chance of showers late Thursday night, and then a chance of rain and snow showers before 9 a.m. on Friday. Chance of rain showers between 9 a.m. and noon, and then gradually mostly sunny on Friday and mid-50s for the high. Our high today has been 50. Right now it's 45 at KVNU. Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance has access to many insurance carriers and will give you options to protect your business. Give your insurance package a fresh look. Call Quality First Insurance at 435-752-0101.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
May special. Terminate your weeds and green up your lawn for only $45, based on maximum 5,000 square feet.
KVNU News Time is 4:06. Monday marked a historic moment at Hill Air Force Base as the Hill Aerospace Museum revealed its latest expansion, the Alexander Hall and the L.S. Skaggs Gallery. The culmination of a decade-long project, the unveiling signifies a significant milestone in the preservation of military aviation history. The ceremony, attended by key figures and aviation enthusiasts, was a testament to the dedication and hard work that went into bringing the project to fruition. Aaron Clark, the director of the Hill Aerospace Museum, expressed his enthusiasm for the new space, emphasizing its importance in better caring for the museum's outdoor aircraft. The expansion, spanning an impressive 91,000 square feet, provides much-needed indoor space for the museum's collection. One of the highlights of the expansion is the inclusion of new aircraft, including the Lockheed Martin U-2 Dragon Lady and the F-22 Raptor. These additions, alongside many others with Utah ties, now have a permanent home in the gallery, allowing the public to get up close and personal with these historic aircraft. As the Hill Aerospace Museum looks to the future, they say they remain committed to sharing the stories of these aircraft and the individuals who flew them, ensuring that their legacy lives on for generations to come. The LS Skaggs Gallery is open to the public beginning on Thursday. And Governor Spencer Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson appeared at an event on Tuesday where dozens of county commissioners from across the state rallied in support of their re-election bid. The commissioners made a public show of support following a bruising loss for Cox at the state Republican Party convention to challenger Representative Phil Lyman from Blanding. Delegates overwhelmingly voted to advance Lyman as their nominee. Because Cox gathered signatures as the law allows, he will still advance to the June GOP primary against Lyman. For many commissioners, they said they like the results the Cox administration has delivered for their communities. Cox declined to talk much about the convention results. While he lost on Saturday, a public opinion poll released Monday showed he maintains a massive lead among Republican voters over any other challenger. Cox said he knows that they have overwhelming support all across the state, and it's because they get things done. Meanwhile, Lyman was beginning his campaign as the winner of the state party convention, talking up his positions on federal overreach and Utah's economy. But he also filed a lawsuit against the state of Utah to ensure his lieutenant governor pick was on the ballot. Lane Bangeter, a former Trump administration official, has lived in Utah before, but most recently in Idaho. The Lyman campaign disagreed with a decision by an independent advisor overseeing the governor's race that Bangeter did not meet the residency requirement. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM at 102.1 FM.
No matter what the condition, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle off your property. Now is the time to make some extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage. Let them pay you for that old junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it easy to get rid of your junker vehicle, paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204.
And call today. See store for details.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
The way you water your lawn makes a big difference. Water restrictions and water costs have both increased over the last few years. The Lawn Doctor offers a popular service to help keep your lawn green and healthy while watering less. One application of our HydroGuard service reduces your watering frequency by up to 1 day a week, saving you water and money.
Watering help, weed, fertilizer, and pest control. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. If you own firearms, it's your responsibility to make sure they're always stored safely. Hiding them in a closet or drawer is not enough. Kids know where they are. Research shows the risk of injury and death is lower if guns are stored unloaded and locked up, with the ammunition locked in a separate place. This is important when children are young, as well as when they grow into teenagers. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
I lived alone and was having problems with my landlord. He's a creep. One night I'm watching TV and I hear my landlord letting himself in. Hey, get out. You can't keep coming in.
I'm just here to fix your fridge and spend some time together.
Get out. I'm reporting you.
Don't make a federal case of it.
A federal case? Sexual harassment in housing is against federal law. If you are harassed, file a complaint with HUD. Go to HUD.gov/fair housing. If you fear for your safety, call 911. Fair housing. The law is on your side. A message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Veterans face treacherous situations filled with peril while serving our country. Many veterans come home physically injured, suffering with PTSD, have traumatic brain injuries or other ailments. Treatment is available, but we need your help. Help Heal Veterans, with the support of generous citizens like you, improves veterans' lives on a daily basis across the United States. For over 45 years, Help Heal Veterans has provided over 30 million therapeutic art kits and craft projects to these critically injured veterans, at no charge to them. Doctors, therapists, and brain injury experts recommend this type of therapy. Since the beginning of World War I, over 100 years ago, art and craft therapy has proven to improve gross motor skills, improve memory, and lessen anger issues in healing veterans. To volunteer or learn more, visit healvets.org. Help a veteran. Visit healvets.org.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Wednesday, May 1st. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio. Cinco de Mayo celebration happening this weekend, May 4th, which is also Star Wars Day, so you're going to have to split your time, obviously, between Star Wars celebration and Cinco de Mayo celebration. Cache County Fairgrounds, where this is taking place on May 4th.
So it's Cuatro de Mayo.
It's Cuatro de Mayo, yeah. It's but with the 5th falling on a Sunday, it's going to be celebrated on Saturday at the Cache County Fairgrounds. If you've never been to these, you really should go check it out. Music, food trucks, a festival-like experience, and it's a lot of fun. In late summer, there is, in downtown Logan on Center Street, there is an annual Latino community celebration that we're also a part of here at the radio group, and it's really fun. I've always been partial to the music of other countries and how other cultures and countries celebrate. It's kind of a fun thing to experience, like a little mini vacation. So get out and enjoy that. Update from yesterday's show. Well, no update yet. I have not heard word from Stacy Frisk and crew at the Cache Humane Society. A lot of listeners asking about this. I've loaded the chat, and quite a few messages coming in this afternoon, people wanting to make sure that I give an update on the air. I have not heard yet that Lola has been adopted. So continue to spread the word. For those who missed yesterday's show, Stacy Frisk, as executive director of the Cache Humane Society, and Bree, one of the volunteers there, came to the studio, and we talked about their Mother's Day fundraiser. They're allowing people for $10 a month to get Mother's Day cards sent to your mom, somebody else's mom, or just purchased to hang on your wall because they are that cool, made by the Shelter Pets. And they brought Lola with them yesterday, a German Shepherd mix, Sweetest dog. And pictures on our Facebook page. But we had her here in the studio, and she made art. They showed us how it was done with these gigantic non-toxic ink pads. And Lola would willingly, they didn't have to force her, she'd put her paw on that pad and then on the paper, and then they'd turn that into flowers or something else. It was really cool to see, but man, that dog, just the cutest dog. If I could have one more and not have to up my, I think it's a kennel license fee that the city I live in calls it, I would take her. But yeah, Lola, she's almost 2 years old. I think they said she was a few weeks away from 2 years old. And she is up for adoption there, along with hundreds of other dogs at Cache Humane. CacheHumane.org for more information. And yeah,
give Lola a nice home.
Yeah, somebody give Lola a home. Now that we've met her here at the radio group, everybody's bucking for her. So please spread the word. And yes, Stacy said yesterday, you can come down and specifically ask to see Lola. Yeah, make sure she finds a good home. So pictures of her and her art on our Facebook page. Coming up, we're a day late on this with the timing of things yesterday, Lola here in the studio and everything else going on. We didn't get a chance to get to this week's Sutherland Institute Defending Ideas, so we'll get to that later on in the show. The back and forth between the Phil Lyman campaign and the state elections office continues. Well, to be honest with you, the state elections office, they served up their decision, and the Lyman campaign for governor, I think they're trying to make this into a deal is what they're doing, a way to sort of get attention for the campaign. It's working. I don't know that it's going to go their way because, yeah, for those who haven't followed this, the Lyman campaign announced Friday night before the GOP convention that state representative and gubernatorial candidate Phil Lyman was had selected a running mate for lieutenant governor, and it's a man named Lane Bangerter. The issue is Lane has some experience. He worked for the EPA for some time. He's worked in government and in the private sector over the years. He lived in Utah until 1990. At the age of 24, left Utah, and then resided most of his time in Idaho since then. He moved back in 2021, and state law, actually state constitution, and legislative intent in state election law, interpreting that constitutional mandate, lays out the guidelines for legitimate candidacy in Utah. To run as governor or lieutenant governor, you must be a resident of Utah for 5 years preceding the next election, is how it's worded in statute. Well, the lieutenant governor's office, the elections office, Ryan Cowley and crew, said they could not certify Lane Bangerter as a candidate for lieutenant governor in Utah because he didn't move back to Utah until 2021. The Lyman campaign responded, said basically, we'll see you in court. Their argument is that if you add up all of the years that Bangerter lived in Utah, it's more than 5 years. So their argument is that the legislative intent in election law is not a consecutive 5 years. It's a nonsense argument. Look at it this way. If that is what election law in Utah is, someone could have lived in Utah until 2001, or go back further if you want. Somebody could have lived in Utah until 1995 and then moved to Chicago and then moved back this year from Chicago, having spent the majority of their life there. But because they were, say, 20 years old when they left Utah in 1995, according to the Lyman campaign, they would be qualified to run for lieutenant governor or governor. I assure you that was not the legislature's intent when they wrote this election law requiring 5 years to establish a residency enough to run for governor or lieutenant governor. I assure they weren't saying, add up all the years you've lived here, 2 years here, 3 years there. No, what they're trying to say is this needs to be someone who's lived in the state for 5 years preceding the election. That's why they use the word next in the statute. So 5 years preceding the next election is what would qualify someone as a candidate for governor or lieutenant governor. I think the Lyman campaign is hoping this just gets them in the spotlight enough to build their campaign up. It's working. Everyone's talking about it. The legal argument, though, that they're going to court against the state with, pretty weak. We'll see where it goes. I have no idea what the timeline on this is, honestly. I really don't. This is all kind of developed. The state elections office ruled on Monday. The Lyman campaign responded in tweet on Monday, and then yesterday actually unveiled, late last night, unveiled the language of their court challenge to this. The campaign will lose. Several lawmakers have weighed in on this, from the governor's cousin. I think it's his cousin or cousin-in-law, Senator Mike McKell, a Republican from I think South Salt Lake, maybe northern Utah County area. He's weighed in and said, he was part of the group that tweaked this election law several years ago, and he said, I can tell you right now that was not our intent. That just add up. If it's a total of 5 years over 50 years, that's good enough. He said, no, the intention is that someone has to live in this state for 5 years consecutively preceding the election, at least, in order to run for governor, which would make a lot more sense than, like I say, the hypothetical I described there, where you have someone who's lived in the state until 1995, was 20 years old, moved away, hasn't been back since, but they moved back in 2024 and run for governor. I assure you that's exactly what the legislature was trying to prevent with their statute. So we'll see where it goes. But again, no timeline that I can report. I'm guessing court will feel pressure to rule quickly because, the primary season is short. Primary day is June 25th. Ballots will start going out weeks before that for registered Republicans here in Utah. But not something I expected to be a part of the campaign cycle. Here we are. We'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have questions. How do you make your savings last? How much should you take out and when? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? Your Edward Jones financial advisor can help you build a strategy to help your finances keep up with your long-term needs. You've done what it takes to get there. Now it's time to make the most of retirement. Call one of the 7 Edward Jones branch locations in Cache Valley or go to edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Leaky pipes, water heater not working, maybe even suspect mold growing in your home. Hey, Gary Sullivan here from At Home with Gary Sullivan. I can help you with your home improvement projects each weekend right here. We'll take your calls about your home issues and give you solutions. We'll tell you how to fix it, what to use, and where to get it. We also have expert guests that can help you with those home projects. Hope you can join us this weekend right here on At Home with Gary Sullivan.
Saturday nights at 7 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Something folks so inclined could ask him about on Monday. Congressman Blake Moore, again, will be joining us for a radio town hall on Monday's show, hour 2 of the show on Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. Congressman Moore will be calling in from Washington, D.C., and he'll spend the full hour with us. This is, just as the name implies, town hall style, meaning I will be here just to introduce the congressman and give him a chance to talk a little bit about things he's working on. Then we'll open the phone lines up for the remainder of the hour. So a good 45 minutes for you to get your questions in. No questions off the table We do ask that it be germane to District 1 if possible. I mean, asking about big, broad philosophical questions is fine, but what we're hoping to do with these town halls is specifically speak to issues here in District 1, the district that U.S. Rep. Blake Moore represents. And so Cache Valley, Box Elder County, Rich County, this is your opportunity. So, Weber County as well, if you're listening from there. We'll open the phone lines up at 5 o'clock on Monday, second hour of the show. Again, something that some folks might want to ask Representative Moore about. Congressman Moore is defending basically going to the wall to clear up what he calls some real misconceptions about this $95 billion foreign aid package. The package was passed by the House and the Senate and signed by the President last week. And this is aid to both Israel and Ukraine. Legislation authorized about $60 billion in lethal aid, arms, basically, to Ukraine, and $26 billion in the same to Israel, and humanitarian aid to Palestinians, and $8.1 billion in aid to Taiwan. And that will be spread to some other Indo-Pacific allies, Philippines and others. So there's two quick things about this. There's nothing unusual about who's getting the aid. Unusual in that it's a lot more aid, but we have been sending aid to Ukraine for years, decades even, and of course it's ramped up the amount that we're sending after Russia invaded. And with Israel, unless you've been living under a rock, you know what's going on there in Israel and Palestine with the Gaza Strip war that is taking place. Israel responding to terrorist attacks from Hamas, a terrorist organization that unfortunately also is the very corrupted organization, the governing organization of Palestine. And the Palestinian people are kind of caught in between all of this. I read something today that there is not a single university in Palestine still standing. They've all been leveled. It's tragic to see sometimes what's going on in the world in the name of righteousness, always, of course. But either way, the U.S. has a lot of interest in providing this aid. That shouldn't be controversial, but it has been. And I think the dollar amount might be the reason. Anyway, Republicans who voted for the package are getting a lot of flack, and Congressman Moore responded. He said in a statement from his office, he said, as China and Russia seek to undermine our economic prosperity and security, this package is squarely in our national interest because it allows us to improve our supply chains and industrial base, modernize our weapons, and encourages our European partners to increase their own defense budgets as well to help overall share the burden. Congressman Moore, again, responding to criticism from the right flank of the Republican Party, that not happy that this passed. And to point out something, I don't know if it's relevant or just interesting, but this passed with 100-plus Republicans and 150-plus Democrats, more Democrats than Republicans in the House voting for it. And then in the Senate, it was basically exactly what you'd expect as far as the breakdown. But that's where the battle over this passing has kind of come about, that some of the more right-leaning flanks of the Republican Party are upset. They didn't want this to happen in the first place, and then they're upset that when it did happen, it happened mainly with Democrats outnumbering Republicans, and they're really going after Speaker of the House, Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, over this. I don't know. Politics is very weird right now. Congressman Moore said, though, in the statement, nearly 80% of the Ukraine funding will never leave U.S. shores. Instead, those funds will replenish old defense articles and stocks or purchase new defense technologies from U.S. business. So basically what he's saying is this goes back into the system that supports Hill Air Force Base here in Utah, which employs many people but also has a huge economic impact, the ripple effect of it existing here in Utah. It would be very noticeable if Hill Air Force Base were moved, basically, and Congressman Moore pointing out that this aid package is part of that overall network. So even though, Ukraine aid, he's pointing out correctly that even though it's aid to Ukraine, most of the money, he says nearly 80%, is actually going to be spent domestically because most of these weapons are made here. Most of the lethal aid that will make its way to Ukraine will be made here. So it's Congress funding Ukraine aid, but also Congressman Moore saying this is going to put people to work, and this also is an investment in our own military infrastructure. And Moore wraps up, he says, with these funds, we continue to deteriorate the Russian military, fortify the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and expose Russian weakness, all without putting a single American soldier at risk. And he wraps up, said the failure, for people to understand this, is a failure that he blames on, quote, extreme voices that have refused to compromise to stem the brutal tide of violence and chaos around the world and even at our own border. We must find a bipartisan compromise because Congress cannot continue to play political games with our own security. So Congressman Moore pulling no punches there, but defending his vote for the $95 billion aid package to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Full story on this with additional information as well, if you want to read the whole background, the battle leading up to passage of the bill and more, in the story at CacheValleyDaily.com. And we'll be back after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:34, and the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. A 40-year-old Logan man has admitted to causing a fatal accident in Wellsville 18 months ago that killed a Brigham City man. Jorge Luis Robles remains in the Cache County Jail after being arrested following the crash September 22nd, 2022. According to court records, Robles appeared April 17th in Logan's First District Court. He accepted a global plea deal for 3 separate cases. He's pleaded guilty to negligently operating a vehicle resulting in death, a second-degree felony, negligently operating a vehicle resulting in serious injury, and possession or use of a controlled substance, both third-degree felonies, along with misdemeanors for driving under the influence and possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute. According to prosecutors, Robles was driving under the influence of drugs when he drifted into oncoming traffic, causing a 6-vehicle pileup that killed 32-year-old Joshua William Hansen of Brigham City. Another individual was transported to the hospital and underwent surgery. Utah Highway Patrol troopers report Robles was driving a Ford F-150 southbound on US 8991 early in the morning. He drifted across the center lane and into oncoming traffic, striking multiple vehicles near the American West Heritage Center. He was transported by ambulance to Logan Regional Hospital, where doctors reported that he showed signs of having an illegal controlled substance in his system. Robles' family told investigators he has a history of heroin and marijuana use. Court records show Robles was an alcohol-restricted driver after previously being convicted of driving under the influence. His driver's license had also been revoked, and he had been cited previously for driving on a suspended license. U.S. home price growth accelerated in February at the fastest annual pace since November 2022, a sign that America's housing market remains tough amid elevated mortgage rates. The S&P CoreLogic Case Shiller U.S. National Home Price Index, a measure of home prices across the country, rose 6.4% in February from a year earlier, a bigger increase than the 6% registered in January. The index advanced a seasonally adjusted 0.4% in February. The Case-Shiller 20-City Index also jumped in February to an annual gain of 7.3%, up from January's 6.6% rise. Of the 20 cities, San Diego saw the biggest increase in home prices in February, a steep 11.4% rise, followed by Chicago and Detroit. Meanwhile, home prices in Portland, Oregon are still holding the lowest rank after reporting 2 consecutive months of the smallest year-over-year growth. Brian Luke, head of commodities, real and digital assets at S&P Dow Jones Indices, said in a release that on a monthly basis, home prices continue to struggle in the face of elevated borrowing costs. 17 markets dropped over the last month, while Minneapolis has posted a 2.4% decline over the prior 3 months. KBNU News Time is 4:38.
U&I Furniture has been located in the same downtown Logan location for 94 years. That doesn't happen unless you're doing some things right. For 94 years, U&I Furniture has been family-owned, family-operated, and family-supported. For 5 generations, they've been committed to taking care of customers, offering quality products at fair price. Lots of different brands and selections in chairs, mattresses, sofas, dining sets, bedroom furniture, floor coverings, appliances, and more. For 94 years, there's always a better buy at U&I Furniture, U&I in downtown Logan.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. Arizona repeals its Civil War-era abortion ban, one the state Supreme Court let stand. 2 Republicans in the Arizona State Senate voted with Democrats, the latter including Ava Birch.
The ban that the people of Arizona overwhelmingly don't want. We're here to repeal a bad law.
Florida's 6-week abortion ban went into effect today. The Federal Reserve choosing not to lower the benchmark interest rate that also affects mortgages, car loans, and more. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell.
In recent months, inflation has shown a lack of further progress toward our 2% objective, and we remain highly attentive to inflation risks.
But the Fed chief says he expects rates will be lowered sometime this year. That sparked a rally by some stocks on Wall Street. A bill adopting a working definition of anti-Semitism for the purpose of civil rights enforcement at college and universities passed the House overwhelmingly by majorities in both major parties. This is ABC News.
KBNU weather for tonight, partly cloudy skies is our forecast, low around 30, mostly sunny into the low 50s on Thursday. Chance of showers late Thursday night, and then a chance of rain and snow showers before 9 a.m. on Friday. Chance of rain showers late morning, and then gradually becoming mostly sunny, mid-50s for the high. It's been to 50 today. It's 47 right now at KBNU. Give the advocates a call if you are not at fault, if you've been injured in a car, trucking, or a slip-and-fall accident. If you were injured and have not spoken to an injury attorney yet, call today, 801-355-5550, or chat online at utawadvocates.com. You can always get more news at cachevalleydaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Ron Arnold of Edward Jones, bringing you the daily financial market report for May 1st, 2024. Stocks closed mixed as Fed Chair Powell downplays the notion of rate hikes. Stocks were mixed on Wednesday, closing below their highs of the session after FOMC kept rates on hold at 5.25% to 5.5% as expected. Fed Chair Jerome Powell also indicated that it's, quote, unlikely that our next move will be a hike, close quote. Powell's personal view is that inflation will move lower later in the year, although his confidence in that view is lower than after the recent string of upside inflation surprises. Markets nonetheless welcomed this less hawkish view of the Fed chair. In our view, the Fed can still be patient, but it remains on track for the first rate cut this year. Treasury bond yields also moved notably lower after the Fed meeting, and the 2-year Treasury yield was down 0.08% to around 4.95%. These moves lower were welcomed by the markets as the recent surge of Treasury yields had sparked volatility in both stocks and bonds. Today, U.S. equities closed lower. The Dow closed up 87 points, closing at 37,903. The NASDAQ was down 52 points at 15,605, and the S&P was down 17 points at 5,018. In the bond market, the 10-year Treasury yields were trading lower at 4.64%. In stocks of local interest, Autoliv was up 64 cents at 120.43. Chevron was down $1.64 at 159.63. Dominion Energy was up 17 cents at 51.15. Home Depot was down 2.25 at 331.97. Kroger was down 61 cents at 54.77. Lowe's was down 47 cents at 227.52. McDonald's was up $1.39 at 274.43. Microsoft was up $5.61 at 394.94. Nucor was up 14 cents at 168.67. Philip Morris was up $1.11 at 96.05, and Walmart was down 50 cents at 58.85 a share. This is Tron Arnold of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and personalized financial advice at 135 North Main, Suite 102 in Logan. If you want more information, feel free to give us a call at 435-753-2915.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck. Join Lyle Boss on his Safe Money radio show. He talks about how you can get substantial bonuses on your retirement accounts and so much more. You also can call Lyle right now for his new Safe Money Miracle Book and a complimentary appointment for an inflation-proof audit of your current retirement plan. Call Lyle Boss, president of Boss Financial, 855-355-SAFE. That's 855-355-7233.
Join Lyle Boss and Safe Money Radio, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Quick note as well, just confirmed this during the break, but new Cache County attorney. Man, I feel bad for this guy. He deserves a Purple Heart for stepping in. But new Cache County attorney Bryson Bem will be with us on Thursday. I mentioned that the primary coming up June 25th is not as far away as you think. But I'm sorry. I got it right. Never mind. June 25th. It isn't that far away, and so with the clerk's office in kind of turmoil for a while, and we lost a county clerk that resigned early. Anyway, so Cache County Republicans at the convention chose interim clerk auditor and nominated two other candidates who will appear alone on November's general elections ballot. So Bryson Bem will take over the clerk's office, and Bem recently spoke with Salt Lake Tribune and said that he was grateful and kind of shocked, actually, and he said it's an important job and it requires a lot of trust. And he was sworn in the following Tuesday, and he had to immediately start work. The Cache County Council, if you remember, voted last fall to sever the clerk auditor office, but he had served as an interim clerk and auditor last year. Now the auditor's office will be open for the election. The first ever, well, not first ever, the first in decades, independent of the clerk's office, county auditor will be elected this November, and that race is ongoing. Dirk Anderson dropped out of that race, and he was running for county auditor. Matthew Funk, Diana Schaefer, we had him here in studios, and Funk, certified a public accountant and former justice court judge, was selected without even sending him to a primary, was selected by delegates. 74% of the delegate vote at that convention on April 13th, surpassing the 70% threshold to avoid a primary, and so he goes directly to the November general election. And no other candidates have filed to run for auditor. So, that's going to be a done deal, basically. But again, that auditor's office is now separate from the clerk's office, and so Bryce and Ben will be with us on Thursday to talk about how they're ramping up and getting ready for this primary and also for the general election. We'll go over all the dates you need to know, deadlines and things like that. So be sure to be with us Thursday at 5 o'clock when Ben sits down with us in the studio. Listeners, if you want to weigh in on this, I ran through Congressman Moore's statement today on his vote for the $95 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And if people would like to react, again, 753-5868. One listener chiming in here, we'll just get to this before the break, but a listener said, I think people are feeling isolationist, and it makes me nervous. That comes from Kevin in Smithfield. Yeah, it's tough with this stuff because there is always and always will be like an isolationist wing. And there are a few Democrats in that wing too, fewer than there are Republicans traditionally over the years. There were isolationists in the lead up to World War II. There was actually a well-moneyed, billionaire-backed effort to keep us out of that war. Once Pearl Harbor happened, of course, even those who opposed the U.S. entering that war knew that they weren't going to win that argument, and they shut up, and we entered the war. In this case, of course, the stated goal is to help around the world in key ways. And I think the most obvious example is what's going on in Ukraine. Russia has invaded with the goal of basically doing away with Ukraine and making it part of Russia. That's imperial conquest. We should all be made very uncomfortable with that because the last time we saw that kind of thing happening, again, World War II and Pearl Harbor. So it's a serious thing. And so I think there is always an isolationist wing, Kevin, but I also think there's something kind of unique and a little odd about contemporary politics. I don't like when people use the word polarization because polarization implies that you have this equal drifting of the two major parties, and I don't think we've seen that. I think it's been asymmetrical polarization, if it's polarization at all. But another way to put that is I think that you have a Republican Party right now trying to sort of figure out who they are as a party. Is this the party of Trump and MAGA and Make America Great Again, or is this the party of Reagan and that more traditional Republican things? And there's actually kind of a battle going on with the Republican Party over that, internal battle going on over that question. And I think that the way that's playing out in Congress right now is you have a lot of Republicans afraid to do things that normally what Kevin's getting at here for other listeners is pretty astute because he's right. This is normally the kind of thing where you would have Republicans championing it because it's military spending. It's defense spending. And Republicans traditionally have been unable to say no to any of that, or unwilling to say no to any of that. And Democrats traditionally were the ones that were saying, we should trim this back. We should cut the defense budget. We should look at how much aid we're sending and things like that. Even, so again, you have these two things going on. You have sort of the isolationist philosophy, which has always been there, but right now is kind of a little more prominent because it's teamed up with this unexpected thing happening inside the Republican Party, in which the Republican Party has become, since Trump was elected president, a party that is less willing to just rubber stamp military spending. And Democrats aren't opposed to it as much as they used to be, it seems. So I don't know, is this a realignment like we saw with civil rights in the 1950s where you had the parties basically change places? I don't think so. I think it's just a thing that's happening right now. But yeah, it's a good observation. Kevin, again, texting in saying, I'm concerned that too many people are isolationists and don't want us to get involved in promoting democracy around the world. It's a valid concern. Again, to be completely fair, $95 billion is a lot of money. And we haven't in this country had a history of a lot of transparency and accountability. The one criticism from Republicans against sending aid to Ukraine, Senator Mike Lee has voiced this before, but one that I can find a place to be very sympathetic to. Not sympathetic enough that I think just doing nothing is smart. You can't let Russia do this. The U.S. has to be involved in some way in pushing back against what Russia is clearly trying to do here. That should go without saying. But Senator Lee has said, this was one of my criticisms of the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan. What's the goal? What's the stated? So we're going to send all this money and aid. What is the end game? What's the plan here? And I think that's a fair criticism for Senator Lee to lob into the mix, because you should be able to say, at least to your own constituents, we're sending this money so that X will be achieved. And that hasn't been as clear with Ukraine. It's so far from clear with what's happening with Israel and the Gaza Strip that no one has an idea there, really. And so the criticism that we shouldn't just be writing checks to other countries without some kind of strings attached is a fair criticism. That said, again, I think it would be really, really short-sighted and sticking your head in the sand to pretend that the U.S. doesn't have a huge interest in pushing back against Russian aggression against other countries, even if it's not us, and a huge interest in trying to work out some kind of end game for what's going on in the Middle East right now that doesn't result in Palestinians being wiped out, and also doesn't result in Israel being open to attacks like they experienced on October 7th last fall. We do have an interest in that. We should. But some disagree. Some feel like we should just let what's happening in the rest of the world happen, take care of our own business. I find that to be sort of short-sighted. What happens in the rest of the world will eventually make its way to our shores. So we have, it's Russia, again, the greatest example. We have a great interest, and I think, in pushing back against Russia. This conversation again stems from Congressman Moore today defending his vote. He's taking some criticism for that, and in a statement he points out he's correct on this, nearly 80% of the funding that went to Ukraine in this $95 billion package will actually be spent domestically. It will actually be spent in the U.S. The weapons will be manufactured here. So we're talking jobs and paychecks for Americans. And he's right about that. I don't know about the number. He says nearly 80%. I have no idea if that's spot on or a guess on his part. I would guess he has some information as a member of Congress, but I do know that has traditionally been the case with Ukraine funding, because we're mainly sending weapons over there and we're making those weapons. So, but Congressman Moore also said, this is China and Russia are actively seeking to undermine our security, and this aid package, he said, goes a long way to stopping them. Full comments from him at CacheValleyDaily.com. Thanks to Kevin for the text. If others would like to weigh in, 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
I'm Jason Walton. In business, I mentor hundreds of Utahns as they pursue their American dream. The same dream career politicians treat with contempt. They send our money to our enemies abroad while shortchanging our veterans at home. It's not right. They're letting drug cartels escort criminals and terrorists across our border. It's time to stand up. So I'm running for the United States Senate. Stand with me. I'm Jason Walton, and I approve this message.
Paid for by friends of Jason Walton for Senate.
Join us each week for music and the spoken word, featuring the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, the longest-running continuous weekly network broadcast in the world. Each episode features modern and traditional arrangements of spiritual, classical, and contemporary music, and a timely, inspiring message. Truly an uplifting program that will have you returning to each week. Music and the spoken word with the Tabernacle Choir.
Sunday mornings at 8 and again in the afternoons at 6 on News Talk KVNU.
Water getting inside your home? Driveway cracking? Your deck need cleaning or sealing? Hey, Gary Sullivan here from At Home with Gary Sullivan. I can help you with those home improvement projects each weekend right here. In fact, we'll take your calls about your home issues and give you solutions. We'll tell you how to fix it, what to use, and where to get it. We'll also have expert guests to help you with your projects. Hope you can join us this weekend right here on At Home with Gary Sullivan.
Saturday nights at 7 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
Wrapping up hour one with a correction. Bill was on top of it, luckily. I didn't even hear myself say it. I said that on Thursday we will be speaking with Bryson Bem, and I called him the new Cache County attorney. No. That's a totally different guy. That's Taylor.
We'll talk. Cars probably drove off the side of the road.
Yeah. We'll talk to Taylor, the new Cache County attorney. Well, I mean, elections have to play out, but it's Cache Valley. Republican will win. But we'll talk with Taylor at a later date. So yeah, Bryson Bem is not the new Cache County attorney. I think I'm just getting confused in all these races. We have the county attorney, we have the clerk and auditor. Now it's just clerk and a different race for auditor. And Bryson Bem, Cache County
a lot of Cache County offices that have changed.
Yeah, although maybe it would be fun to have the Cache County attorney in and just ask him about elections and see the look on his face. Like, what? Cache County clerk Bryson Bem will be with us on Thursday's show after the For the People Theater Hour. So that's at 5 o'clock on Thursday. Everything you need to know about the upcoming primary, the general election, and more. I know it's been a hectic few months in the county clerk's office, but Bem he hit the ground running. And so we'll have an update for you on Thursday's show. Hour 2 of today's show kicks off with a day late, this week's episode of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas. They've been very nuanced about this, so I'm excited to hear this little sneak peek they send us each week. The question is, how can you put more power in the hands of parents without making the system break down, giving teachers a headache, and things like that? Sutherland Institute says there is a way, and they'll spell it out right after this here on KVNU Logan.